Packers. Okay, Lewis, they really made a concerted effort to shore up their defense, and they needed to. How do you assess their moves?
Mm-hmm. Look, I said during the draft, Hannah, that I thought that Brian Gutekunst, their general manager, did as good a job this offseason as any GM could possibly do in terms of continuing to build out this defense. Look, the drafting of Edgerrin Cooper at the top of the second round, the drafting of Javon Bullard right there from Georgia to go along with Xavier McKinney, who they signed in free agency, those are absolute stud GM of the year type moves. That's what they are. Edgerrin Cooper is going to be a Fred Warner type of player. He's a three-down linebacker that can blitz, run, cover, tackle. He can do it all. He can absolutely do it all. He will be a star from the very first game. Xavier McKinney is one of the best safeties in the NFL. I mean, they stole him from the Giants. I mean, this absolutely stole. I mean, how do you let Xavier McKinney get out of there? And Javon Bullard, look, if you watched Georgia's secondary last year, Georgia's secondary, man for man, is best secondary in college football. They have nothing but studs. Javon Bullard is a heat-seeking missile that can also pick the ball off and take it the other way, 90 yards with the speed he has. Brian Gutekunst killed it. Rashawn Gary's already there. Preston Smith already there. I didn't know that they had that many first and second rounders when you kind of add it all up. But I'm telling you, the Packers are loaded. This is a loaded football team.
They are very loaded, and you're right, Lewis. Talent acquisition has never been their fault. They've done a really good job of it with all the first and second round picks. But guess what? Some of those first round picks they had last year when they couldn't stop the run, they gave up 130 yards against the run. So now Joe Barry, the old defensive coordinator, is out. You bring in Jeff Hafley because they want to be more aggressive, and they got to get better in the front seven. I get it. They got a lot of talent. They got a lot of guys that look pretty coming off the bus. But when are they going to step up and be more physical in the front seven? When are they going to step up and stop the run? They're going to have to make sure they take care of the run so that new acquisition and that secondary can be ball hawks like you talked about them being. But because if you can't stop the run, nobody's going to throw the football. And Green Bay's defense has religiously, over the last couple years, not been able to stop the run. So he's done a tremendous job from a talent standpoint. Now, can the coaching staff, namely the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, turn all this talent into a defensive unit? That'll be the key for Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so let's talk about this, because this is really interesting to me, because we see a lot of teams kind of can go different directions when you have success, right? Like the Packers had success, the Texans had success, excuse me, the Detroit Lions had success. And then it's like, okay, how can we improve our team to make us better? How can we get ourselves over the hump? Now, when you have a great offensive team, right, you can kind of go from the approach and say, let's make our offense even better. Our offense was leading the charge. Let's make us even better. We have a great young quarterback. Let's make his job easier. Let's just spread it out. We have a great wide receiver, great running back, whatever it may be. Let's add some more pieces. Therefore, it'll be even more difficult for defenses to scheme against us. It brings the pressure down for pretty much everyone now on the offensive side of the ball. And then boom, you can kind of really succeed. Which then also takes pressure technically off the defense to a degree, because you know that they're going to put up points. So you have that side. And then you have the other side where you're like, okay, our offense is great. It's legit. It's fortified. We know what we're doing. We have an identity. We're young. We're growing. We're healthy. Let's go. Now we need to bolster up the defense. And by bolstering up the defense, that now also takes the pressure off of the offense for multiple ways. One, you can get better time of possession. You can get better, you can get more possessions, better field position, right? Now you're making it easier for the offense in that regard. Not to mention, if your defense is really legit, then the offense doesn't have to put up lots of points. It's not always that feeling of, oh man, I got to win a shootout. Jordan Love has to throw for 300 some yards every single game because, God, we know that we got to at least score 24 points just for a chance to win. So that's also now where bolstering the defense can really help you. And I think that's why it's a great thing that the Packers did Obviously, you want to be able to improve both, right? You want to be able to improve on both sides of the ball. But for the most part, sometimes, depending on the situation, you have to kind of lean one way or the other. Or you only have a chance to really maybe draft a player or sign a player that's really a big person that's really going to have a legitimate impact on one side of the ball, right? You can't draft a number one receiver and a number one defensive end or something. It just doesn't work that way, most likely. So when you have that with the Packers, I think it also matters on who's your quarterback and who's your coach, because not all quarterbacks and not all coaches for that matter know how to run an offense with a great defense. And to me, that's what Andy Reid did this last season and Patrick Mahomes, a masterclass, an absolute masterclass. And I think a lot of people missed it, and myself included. And I will give that credit to Nick Wright from First Things First, where he kind of said, Patrick Mahomes is doing what he needs to do to win the games, and Andy Reid for that matter. And that's why he's not trying to throw a million touchdowns, go for hundreds of yards. And again, I emphasize that that's Andy Reid's doing. That's Andy Reid pulling Patrick Mahomes down and saying, our defense is legit. We don't need to score 30-some points like we've had to in the past. We just have to take care of the football and be smart. It's okay to get field goals. Guess what? We're going to kick a lot of field goals, and we're going to win a Super Bowl. And that's what they did. And I believe that Matt LaFleur is smart enough, is a good enough head coach to be able to manage the offense, to know, okay, if our defense is legit, if our defense is rolling, and we are in control of this game, we don't need to call up plays and have Jordan Love turn the ball over, force the ball down the field when we don't need to do that. And now give momentum, give another possession back to the other team. And you see a lot of teams do this. They make this mistake. And it really is what some of the little things that I think a lot of fans, and no disrespect to the casual fan, but it's just a little bit harder to pick up on. Unless you're really kind of really watching games all over the place and really see the benefits of different styles of play. Because I get it, as a fan, you're just like, my team has the ball, let's score some touchdowns, let's go. I mean, that's what you want, right? You want to see your player, your quarterback, your offense throwing for 350 yards, 400 yards a game for 3 touchdowns, right? That's exciting. That's what you want. And anything less than that, you're just like, what the heck? But it obviously works. So when you have a great offense and a competent offense, just even, if you have a great defense, that can obviously go a long way. But you need the right coach and the right personnel, which I believe that the Packers do. I believe that Jordan Love is humble enough and willing to listen to enough to a Matt LaFleur to do what's asked of him. And so hopefully he learns that lesson where, and again, it's not to say that the Packers can't put up points, because I think that their offense is highly potent. But I'm just saying not every game will call for that. And when your defense is actually potentially taking care of business, it's smart not to do that. You only want to do the more high percentage plays. Don't force the ball down the field. Don't go for that home run shot because you don't need to. And you've seen so many teams do this. And the one example that will always burn in my mind was the second year after Nick Foles with the Eagles already won a Super Bowl. They were playing the New Orleans Saints in the playoffs. And ironically, Nick Foles was playing again because Carson Wentz got injured. And they were balling out again. Balling out. And people they were already saying this is unbelievable. Is Nick Foles going to go on another run? They had all the momentum. They were up by, I forget the exact score, maybe 10, maybe 14, whatever it may be. They had all the momentum. And then I don't know what play Doug Peterson called or dialed up, but it was a home run shot and ended up being an interception. And that completely changed the momentum of the game. The Eagles were getting everything they wanted. They were able to get all the short yardage gain, 7 yards here, 8 yards here, 10 yards here, 5 yards there. They just had the Saints rolling on their backs. They could do nothing. I mean, the Eagles had all the momentum. And then instead, Nick Foles goes to air it out 50 yards down the field and it gets intercepted. And I just remember I'm thinking at the time, what are you doing? That didn't need to be done. And it ended up being the change. It ended up with what ended up them causing them to lose the game. So learn from that. And Andy Reid has learned from that, from his years of coaching. So that's why I think bolstering the defense helps the Packers in so many more ways than just saying, okay, well, now they have a better defense. It really helps the offense as well. And to me, it makes the Packers a more complete team. And they were already a great team. I already had the Packers before any changes were made. I already had the Packers as I was thinking that the Packers could legitimately get to the NFC Championship game, right? Like I thought the Packers absolutely could beat the 49ers, and I think they could have beat the Lions. And as you guys know, at this point, if you're watching all these videos, I think the Lions are great. I think the 49ers are great. I think the Packers are great. I think all these teams are genuinely great. And I think when it comes time playoffs, it's going to come down to the little things. Are you going to push the ball downfield, and is it going to be an interception? Can your defense hold the opposing team to only 21 points? So now your offense only needs to put up 23 points, 24 points. Can they kick some field goals and not be forced to go on it on 4th and 3, right? It just relieves the pressure all around. So it's all these little things that really end up mattering come time playoffs. So I think what the Packers are doing is great. I could not be more excited for this division. I could not be more excited for it because I just think it's going to be so awesome, such a gauntlet. And I think if you're a Packers fan, you have nothing but optimism and excitement, and that it's going to be some brutal matches with the Lions, the Bears, the Minnesota, especially in the future, and going up against the 49ers and potentially the Eagles as well, and the Rams. I think the NFC is just getting so exciting. Such great quarterbacks, great coaches, high-powered offenses that have a lot of weapons to go around, and defenses now that are going to make it harder for these offenses, which then makes it also more exciting. And I truly, truly can't wait. But I think also for the Packers, they are definitely one of my main teams that I think the sky is the limit for them as well. And so the sooner you can kind of get things going and the momentum you can get in your favor, as well as patching up some of these little things, either having a potent offense to kind of ease up the pressure on the defense, or bolstering up the defense to ease off the pressure of a great offense, just it's always a positive. It's never a negative. So, but those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Green Bay Packers and them looking to improve their defense, and what kind of effect that would have on their ability to win, as well as just their obviously potent offense with really their up and coming offense? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.